So now we're recording. I just want to check. Laura, are you on the line somewhere? I don't see you. All right, well, I'll do roll call. I'm here. Jennifer Keys.
Yep, Ann and I are both here.
Awesome. Just checking again for Laura. Okay. Karen, I know you're here, right?
I am. Yes.
Heard from Becky. Stephanie, I heard from you.
I'm here.
Megan's here for a little bit. And
Laura.
Oh, good. Laura's here. Yay. And
I'm unmuted.
And John Anderson is here, I believe, right?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yes, we hear you.
Okay.
So Carla Stephenson, so far, Laura's the only one not here.
Thanks, Kim.
And she won't be on. Okay. I'd move for approval of any additions to the agenda. The one item that I know we need to discuss, I don't know if it needs to be a separate item or if it can go under the awards, which I don't see on the agenda. Am I missing it? That's missing. We need to add awards to the agenda.
I would move that we add awards to the agenda.
I appreciate that.
Where do you want to put it, Kim?
Let's just put it right before Summer Summit. Any other additions to the agenda? All right. Hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve.
This is Jennifer. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Is that Stephanie?
Yep.
Yep.
Sorry, I should have given my name.
I thought it was you, but then I was rattling paper. Sorry. Okay.
I'm writing it down too, Kim.
Okay. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Signify by aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries on that one. Meeting minutes. Laura, I didn't have those, I don't think. I couldn't find them anywhere.
Yeah. Yes, I apologize. I was out of town. I was in Pier yesterday, and as I didn't even see that we had a meeting today, so I didn't circle back to make sure that we had it. And for some reason, I didn't have it in my Outlook calendar. But I was so grateful to catch up on my emails this morning and see that we had a 1 o'clock. I will dig around and see if I have that, but I apologize, I did not have that sent out to you in advance.
So I'm going to a motion to table.
I would move that we table that and then take a vote via internet later on.
Okay. Second?
This is Jennifer. I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, so when Laura sends that out, we'll call for a vote. Treasurer's report. That's up to you, Karen.
And can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. So I'm looking at the profit and loss budget versus actual page for those of you that are wondering where I'm at and what I'm talking about. And at the top, We have vendor sponsorships income, and we have over budget $750. We have two companies that are sending us checks, and we should have them in the mail any day, and that'll be at zero. So that was just because we had two of the people from last summer that owed us money, and I hadn't reminded them in a long time. So we took care of that yesterday. And then the only other thing I think of note, the only real difference is down under fundraiser expenses, which is 2/3 of the way down the page. We added in yesterday that we needed to pay Cornerstones the actual cost of the t-shirts that we sold, which was 12. We sold 12 t-shirts. The cost of those was $145.32. And then the only other thing I can think of to bring up is under profit and loss, the July 1st, 2019 through February 19th, 2020. We added a category, which is award winners honoraria. We hadn't broken that out before. We just had awards, gifts, and name tags, and so we've added that in, award winner honoraria. Of the 5,000 that we had last year, we spent $1,250, and that was for Rebecca Goodbear, Jerry LeBeau, and the 4 plaques. That's what went into the awards, gift tags, and name tags. The other, the second little indentation there. But the award winner honoraria, that was the cash prizes that they received for winning the awards.
So that honorarium money is from the gift that we received.
Yes.
It's that
Yes.
$5,000 donation.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
But that's
And then the other is our expenses in bringing award winners to the conference and paying for
Yes.
the actual awards.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And other than that, I would like to know if anyone has a question.
all right. We don't hear any. We entertain a motion to approve.
I'm going to make it the motion to approve. Steph Ripperger.
This is Laura. I'll second.
All right. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, the 2021 budget. I think what Karen would like to know is, are there things on the current budget we should change for the next year's budget? Is that right, Karen?
Yes.
I guess you could say under the professional development, we have $5,000, correct?
Yes.
For training, and that was just like scholarships and things like that. And so far we spent $500 for the COAB regional, or no, the COAB virtual conference, and then you have $1,000 going to somebody's going to TESOL, right?
Yes, but I don't know who that is.
Diana Strelick.
Okay.
So we got another $1,000 that'll be coming out of that, right? And that
Yes.
is that it so far?
That's all I know of.
That's all that I've received so far.
And so what about it, Kim?
I was just asking for clarification purposes.
Okay, I thought maybe you wanted that you had a plan for the 3,500.
No, I'm just asking for clarification. That's all. The other thing we need to consider, it rolls into the other one, the awards, is it's really expensive to bring individuals in to receive awards, which is terrible, I know, but something we need to talk about, I guess. And we had the money in the budget, so it was there. Any ideas, questions? We put money in for advocacy for the last 2 years, and nobody's really had the time to move forward on anything on that. If we want to leave it in there another year in hopes that somebody can
Come up with a great idea.
I think we're sitting with a group of people who probably are all stretched to the limits on our time right now. So I guess any discussion about the budget for 2021?
Kim,
Yes.
so just for context,
Yeah.
as we talk about money and budgets and advocacy, I should note that for next program year, starting July 1, 2020, the Title II program, while we do expect a slight increase in federal funds, right? The last time we had an increase, there was like $36 million appropriated, which turned out to be, 1/10 of 1% for us, which was about 36,000. And so I don't know if I can expect about the same. Within the next few weeks, we'll probably get the estimated awards, but potentially $15,000 more in federal funds. But over the past few years, we were receiving well over $200,000 of Title I supplementary funds. And we're going to be down from well over 200,000 to 49. Where is it? We're going to be down to a total of 79,500 just over the course of a few years of Title I supplementary funds. So I don't know how much sense it makes to leave money in advocacy. That ship might have come and gone, so to speak.
Well, and ultimately, I think there's I fear it and ramifications for it in South Dakota, myself personally.
But that's not to say that advocacy and a new information campaign can't always be revisited, revitalized, and relaunched with effectiveness. So I don't want to sound pessimistic or wholly negative there either. And, with that, the PD budgets on both the, I'm talking AFLA, of course, on the ABE side of things and the ESL side of things took a cut last year. So unfortunately, that's the fiscal reality of PD and instructional activities right now, for whatever that's worth.
Well, one of the other things that I guess to discuss is now this last year we had the Dakota Closer Connections Conference in the state. We won't have that this year. Do we want to look at offering something else in adult ed as an additional training opportunity as part of at least South Dakota All, covering the cost of the training itself? Maybe not. It probably wouldn't. It wouldn't cover travel and budgets, travel and that kind of stuff. But maybe bringing trainer or training to groups.
I always like the possibility of providing trainings. I gravitate toward face-to-face trainings, but I know that hybrid and online trainings have their place as well. So depending on the topic or theme or strand, I'd certainly like to have those conversations with SDALL and the group at large. And my diatribe earlier really just, I think, wanted to contextualize that if we need to make cuts, and
I don't know if it's so much we need to make cuts as we need to think of, because we know, you also have the report of how much funding we do have. I don't know if we need to make cuts as do we want the things in the categories we have them in.
right, and just be judicious and mindful about those priorities.
Don, if that was a diatribe, we need to work on your temper tantrum throwing ability. I can help you with that.
Becky throws way better temper tantrum.
It's true. I can give you some tips later on.
Thoughts from the rest of the board? I feel like as South Dakota, and I apologize for this, but it is what it is, and I think you all understand that, is we probably haven't been doing as much, been as active as we could have been in the last year or two.
No, I would agree. I'm kind of feeling the same way you are, Kim, about advocacy. It makes me nervous, and just seeing some of the issues that our legislature has spent a great deal of time and press on this year has not made me hopeful that we could have an impact at the state level. I guess I would encourage programs to work more with their local level legislatures to build those relationships and hope that that bears fruit down the line.
And if I may, I listened, DLR had their appropriations committee meeting last week. And so I tuned into public radio and listened as Marcia faced a few tough questions from the committee members. And she did address briefly Title II, adult education and literacy activities. And I was so hoping for a question about, tell me more about this adult ed and training. But one, I think it was Mulally out there from West River, just seized upon the program for alien or illegal, or it wasn't my seasonal migrant farm worker. I think there was a term alien labor, maybe related to H-2A, H-2B visas, and it just spun off from there, and all these illegal immigrants, and what are we doing? And it was disheartening.
Indeed. This is Laura, and I just wanted to share that I concur, Kim, and I absolutely own up that I've not been as active as I really in my heart want to be for South Dakota All.
And I think we're all there, Laura. I'm not putting blame on any of us. I think we're all there.
Well, it's been a very intriguing time, and in terms of advocacy, my heart is heavy that people are in our state remain somewhat confused about topics of immigration and its contribution or detriment to our workforce statewide. We've made headway in Sioux Falls. There's been an increase in understanding amongst our city officials about the significance of adult ed as a component of support for those who are non-native English speakers in our state that help our workforce. And I almost wish that there was a way for us to, in messaging, and this may not be anything within any of our wheelhouse or our ethical capacity to share with people statewide the significance of adult ed and workforce development. Because yesterday at the Capitol, the governor addressed our group, which represented the Chamber of Commerce from Sioux Falls and the Leadership Sioux Falls participants. And the governor pointed out, yes, I understand that in Sioux Falls you're really concerned about workforce. We're concerned about this all across the state, and we're doing great things to support workforce development. And, you know, as she elucidates the initiatives that she feels will be significant for workforce development, she regrettably forgets the importance of adult education. And I would agree with Becky's sentiment of advocating at local levels with our officials so that they understand. But in Sioux Falls, we have that, fortunately, and that's a credit to many people who've been advocating. But our governor and our own Department of Labor and Regulation representatives, I feel like John has done his very best to communicate this. But I just wish there's a way to amplify the voice that says that we are an essential component of workforce development in our state. Which was one of the hopes, perhaps, of advocacy, but again, I don't know that there's a way that we can do it. It's just a wish we could.
The night after the State of the State address, they had a PBS session where they had the minority and majority leaders and whips on PBS explaining State of the State. And then they took questions, and I actually texted in two questions about adult ed, and one was aired. And it was interesting because they answered it in terms of K-12 education, and they didn't even read the fact that it was for adult education. So even in asking the questions in a really public manner, sometimes people don't even relate it at that point.
Well, and fortunately or unfortunately, if you look at our state plan for the next 3 years, adult education is not addressed. And the fact that even when you look at adult and dislocated under Title I, they talk about youth in there instead of adults.
Yeah, and we met on Tuesday. I met with a giant group from Eric Weiss and Bernie Grimmy and Gay Mackey and Andy Salvasi and central office staff. And the only questions that we reviewed were the 3 submitted from Title II providers. And, it was pretty clear the direction Kendra wanted, or Director Ringsmeyer wanted to take. And, she reassured, I don't know if she was trying to reassure me and the group at large, and she would put comments together that, well, that's just the Workforce Development Council's priorities. Of course, we're focused on adults, but, have
no goals there.
the funding and the MOUs and the cooperative arrangements might indicate other priorities. So yeah, there again too, and I appreciate that, Laura. I do feel I try to make a strong case, but not often a seemingly effective case. So I apologize too if
honestly, I think the only way that we could possibly do this as a state association, and it, like I said, it still scares me because we're a small state, is if we hired a group or that really, and that would take a lot more money, and if that's the way we want to spend money, that's the way we want to spend money, to facilitate that campaign. I don't think it's in the wheelhouse of any of our expertise, and I don't think any of us have a lot of time to do it.
I actually had some conversations with someone who has acted as the L word in our state, and was not trained to do that, trained herself. And she talked about what a tremendous amount of work it is, and how much you have to learn about laws and regulations and, you know, just the whole overall political process that happens behind the scenes that not many of us are privy to. I think it would be very expensive to hire somebody who knew what they were doing in that regard, to act on our behalf.
And I think, you know, from the reviews or quarterly reports or anecdotes I hear, that it seems that a number of the providers are doing a pretty good job of trying to educate and invite and engage their local representatives. But I don't know, we just don't seem to have a champion. We don't have a lobbyist, and I don't think we can afford one to that point necessarily. And I just don't feel like we have a
Well, if we
champion.
don't have the support we need, because the priorities are different in the department that our funding is located in, then it doesn't really matter how much money we spend. Because if they don't support it, or they're not going to be part of it, then it's kind of lost cause, isn't it?
Well, I think that makes a lot of difference, but part of me, the naive part, no doubt, wonders that if we had someone on that appropriations committee or someone in state legislature who had influence and could bring a bill or bring some attention, some one-time money request, or even some more spotlight to what we do, you know, because how many people, when they hear adult education, think community ed and pottery class and wine taste? I don't know.
Well, and college and post-secondary.
Right.
Yeah, most people don't understand what we define as adult ed. But it's going to take more than, I mean, we don't have the money to, you know, I think we all have partners that we work with that still do things that's like, what? You support the program, you write a check, and you don't understand. Yeah.
Well, so Megan noted in the chat box that she's posted some teacher resources, but nothing for advocacy. I mean, there's really no dearth of opportunities to promote Title II, and to Kendra's credit, she has seemingly taken, whether it's Minds That Move Us or any one of your initiatives or successes, and tried to share it with the public relations media team. But, you know, we can't compete right now with Week of Work, Governor Noem's initiative, or Dakota Roots, Dawn's initiative, or Registered Apprenticeship, the, you know, Hot Topic, or Bring Your A, you know what I mean? Fill in the blank. Or Family First.
And, you know, in some respects, it's better to keep your head down. Especially when we're writing RFPs.
Yeah, right.
So, based on this discussion, maybe, I guess, Karen, you probably want a little more feedback on what we want to, if we want to maybe move that money out of advocacy and use it someplace else, or am I correct?
Right, because even though we've discussed many things, we don't have an answer on that, do we? And will we get an answer today? Does anyone have any great ideas?
Well, you're not going to write the budget this week, but maybe
Oh, no.
next month or so, maybe we could send out a chat or something about it, and people could have time to think about it, and we can start working on that budget. I just thought if we brought it up earlier, rather than waiting till the last minute to do the budget, it would help.
The only thing, and this is just right off the cuff, well, I know we have what? Are we still SDL newsletter annually? Is that the
We haven't
intent?
been doing it.
Huh?
We haven't been doing it.
Well, you know, and maybe, okay, like I said, I'm just thinking aloud here, but what if we brought that back in some sort of kind. I know we had talked at one point. It is really tough, and everyone's got so much going on. Sort of a summer summit retrospect. But I wondered if we, literally wrote some small pieces and sent them to the legislative body out of session. Sort of just a dedicated email blast to the senators and representatives, the incumbents, and in the hopes that after a few iterations, a few years, that maybe we'll have some who can speak to our cause.
How about this? Kind of what John's talking about. Every year we do the awards, but there are people who are nominated who do not win. We have all those I have all those award nominations. They're wonderful profiles of students who have been bright spots in our programs across the state, who have been recognized by the people who work with them. They're instructors and colleagues. We showcase the award winners, but for something like John is talking about, we could call out a lot of really great profiles from that information. Now, I'm not saying we can go back, however many years. I have a lot of years, because we don't have releases. So if we want to use names, that would be difficult. But moving forward, we could have those award nominees provide us a release if they're willing to have their information shared in that kind of format. I'm just thinking that's done. All we'd have to do is put it in some pretty pages and be able to send it out.
Here's another.
Well, I like that, and it's at the same time we're putting a face and a name to the
Yes.
working team, and we're able to note our partners, our community partners, and that goodwill goes a long way to get DLR or Voc Rehab or some business in there.
So what if
Exactly.
South Dakota all looked at doing, instead of thinking, advocacy and we're going to have a lobbyist, what if we put more like an annual report that becomes like a toolkit? And if we could come up with a way that maybe programs could submit information in a particular format so that everything would look very uniform, and put out an annual report. Hey, this is how the state's doing. This is how individual communities are doing. But then people could take pieces of that and utilize it where they wanted, but we could also use that as part of a legislative knowledge base, providing them information. And then you could use them in email blasts. We could use them on Facebook. We could use it, I don't know, and maybe we put the money into having somebody sit down and make it look good together. So we're not, it's like, okay, if I can provide you with all this information, then you're going to put it in a format that's uniform and look good and it's nice and glossy or whatever. It works good on the web, whatever.
A professional layout person, basically, to take our finished information and put it in. Yeah.
It's an idea too.
I like that idea too.
Because it would work with all those other things. It's just,
but, and outsource it, because I'll never forget John Taylor, his dad taught him, do what you do best and hire the rest. And it's all ready to go, just like that application to COAG National that Laura forwarded, and again a three-peat this year with Employer of the Year. Yeah,
that's a big deal. It's getting more publicity in our state, and that's maybe something. It's like that's something. If someone knows someone who knows how to work with newspapers, could we pay someone to make sure that gets out on the AP too? Because it's not going to be announced to the Department of Labor as well as we would like. That maybe we take more initiative.
It's not. And to Kendra's credit, she called me. I put it in we're now doing weekly reports, and I put it in there. And she called and wanted more context, and I explained the whole background to her. And did she include it to the governor's office? Or did Dawn decide it didn't make the cut? I don't know. But yeah, I like what we're thinking, though, that we still be advocates and provide information.
Without in their face. I mean,
because what we do is education. So why don't we educate people?
Good
We're good
idea.
at that.
Yeah.
That's what they need. Mm-hmm.
So maybe let's table that for discussion, and maybe we have just another separate discussion about that in, like, say, a month or so.
That
And
sounds good.
everybody can bring their ideas to the table, and I'll send out some email reminders. Does that sound good?
That's great.
Yes.
Okay. So let's move on to reports then. Membership, Karen.
I knew you were going to get to me. I didn't look up how many members we have. Do you have that handy? No. I've tried to count, and I think I've counted 57 on a piece of paper that I have here in front of me. We have, people that no longer work for us. That's the ups and downs. But I have one person that hasn't paid, and she wants to go to COAB. So I expect a check in the mail from one more person any day. But I think it's 57.
Say, Karen, did I miss on the report, how much do we pay to COAB for the statewide association membership?
Is that the $1,200?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
1,200. So that's all I have on membership, Kim. And I didn't have that, did I?
According to this, I'm thinking there should be around 61
Okay.
that paid
Okay.
last year. And I guess, you could divide the membership by 15 and you could come up with the
I
answer.
could divide the membership by 15. Yes, I could.
Okay.
The reason you may have 61 and I had 57 was because you might be counting the one person that I'm waiting for a check on. And then originally Lutheran Social Services, we were off by 3.
Yeah. So that would be it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So newsletter, Laura.
Yes. Regrettably, I've dropped the ball yet again. The goal was absolutely, I confess the goal was we were going to have a newsletter after Summer Summit on an annual basis. And that has been pushed back and pushed back. And
Summer Summit's not here yet.
That's right. We still have time if we want it done within the year. And I think it's really creative for Becky, you thinking outside the box with text, some content that we already had developed with the nominations for the awards last year. I have sensed a willingness from some of our partner programs to contribute to the newsletter. So as long as I just send out a call for submissions, I believe that we would be able to put together a newsletter. I lost my Jill Baker, who was the formatter extraordinaire, and I did get some leads from Steph. Thank you so much, Steph, for sending some ideas, some references of people who have done newsletters and maybe would be able to give me some advice on how to put it together in a pretty way, as that's not my wheelhouse either. I can collect things and I can teach myself how to put a newsletter together unless other people have a suggestion on a resource or a template that is pretty efficient to use.
Let me talk to Shane. We might have something you could use through our Canva nonprofit that drops them in and kind of after you pick your format.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about Canva. I just have not delved into it myself. But yeah, if Shane has a suggestion, I would be totally open to that.
Let me do a little checking on that and get back to you, okay?
Thank you, Kim.
Yep. All right, social website. Oh, yeah, it's totally out of date too. So there we're at. But no, not totally. The PD page is fairly good. And let's see, what else can I tell you about it? On that page, the credentialing page, we added an additional instructor credential that I will send out the email on. We finally got everything into it this week. And so this is for experienced instructors who maybe did new teacher training 20 years ago and are still working successfully in the program. So we will have another way for them to get their credential for that. So we added that. But that's on the webpage. I'm going to work at some getting this up to date. I actually put it on Shane's list to help me get this fixed, because we haven't done anything with it in almost 2 years except for the pages I needed to fix. So that's where we're at with that. And if anybody has any ideas or suggestions or undying desires to do something with it, let me know.
Kim, I just want to say thank you because the website is really helpful. It's user-friendly, and you have links to important information for our staff there. So I think it's serving a really great purpose.
And I have some more links for some materials that I have not got up recently that I need to get onto it. So it just hasn't been my priority, but I will get it updated. Social media. I think Megan, if you follow her on Facebook, she's been posting things again. So if you're not following the South Dakota All one, maybe follow it and start promoting it to your staff, because she does give you some really interesting teacher tips and things like that she's been sharing through that. And then if you have stuff to share, that's one way to do it, especially if you're not, I mean, if you're an organization who uses Facebook and you're already sharing it, that maybe just link it. That's great. If you don't have that ability or you don't have access to that, you could use South Dakota All as an avenue to get stuff up on Facebook, social media. And that's all I can tell you. If you've got any questions about it. Okay, Becky, nominating. Which would be awards.
No.
No, that's two different things. Yeah, I know.
That's two different things. So this year we have 3 board positions up for election. The East River rep, which is Carla Stephenson right now. The West River rep, who is Stephanie Rittberger. And then, sadly, I hate when this one comes up, it's time for president-elect. It's hard to find a person, but we need to, because I said this morning I have been past president for, I think, 18 years now. And I need to not be past president anymore. And that does not mean that I want to be president-elect. I'm just putting it out there. So yes, it is time to think about a president-elect for our group. Like I said, this is always a hard one to get. But we have a lot of great leaders on our board and in our state. So start thinking hard and searching your soul.
I thought Jennifer was president-elect.
She is, but
yeah.
She eventually got to become president, John.
But this is the year that everybody moves up. So Jennifer will become president, Kim will become past president, and I will become obsolete.
Okay.
Which is okay with me.
I think maybe think about people in our organizations. I can think of one in particular that I think would do really well on the board. Not necessarily as president-elect the first year at all, but as an East River rep, maybe. Suggestion. Anything, questions, concerns, discussion about that? Okay, Becky,
Do the board members have a nice junket at least once a year where they can go to Deadwood or whatever?
We can't even get a meeting on the web.
Becky, when would you like to have, would you like to have names by a certain date? What is best for you?
I think, if you've got names, I would take them at any time. I think the latest we'd like to go is maybe into May, especially when we're looking at a president-elect. By the end of May, I would like to know if we've got somebody who's interested in that position. Sorry. And the other board positions too. I mean, if there's somebody who has some interest, I mean, we'd take those interested parties at any time. It's kind of my dream for us to actually have to vote to elect somebody, Like Like maybe we had multiple candidates for positions at one point.
Amen.
So yes, if you've got people who you can talk to or you want to visit with, or people who have questions, there is also, I don't know if anybody's really aware, it's out on the website, I believe. We do have an application, like an online application. Is there still a link to that on the web, Kim?
I'd have to look.
Okay. But we do have an online app if anybody's interested in that. So,
But I think maybe
You would prefer them to come into you that way?
it doesn't matter. It can just be an email too.
Okay.
how about I send out a couple email blasts to the membership? I can do that. Right after I get the website done. No, probably before I do the website.
Okay.
Okay, scholarships.
We've already kind of talked about this when we were looking at the budget. We've paid one out already, and then the one to Diana Stralick, who is going to the National TESOL Conference in Denver this year. So
And
those
she
are the
also-
only apps we've received.
And Laura, she also volunteered to maybe do a session of something she learned at the conference.
Yeah, she's on the list.
Okay, all right. I'm
Fabulous.
sure she talked to you, but just want to make sure.
Thank you.
And that's all I have. I mean, there's still scholarship money in the budget, so if anybody's looking to attend a conference or a training, remember it does not have to be a big national training. They can be used for smaller regionals too. Online trainings, anything that you would have to shell out a little bit of program money for, you can write a scholarship.
Questions? Stephanie, fundraising. Are we doing a quilt? I can't remember.
Yeah, I actually have the quilt, so we just got to decide when and what. So
So
I thought I was going to go through Huron and I was going to drop it off with you, but that got kiboshed by weather. So I think I'll just mail it to you.
well, so if we get a picture of it and stuff, that's something else I can maybe ask Shane to work on, is maybe putting together some email blasts of, hey, get your tickets, and kind of pump people up and maybe get some tickets to the board members and stuff like that, so we can start selling early.
Perfect. I will try to take it someplace where there's enough light to show it off and hang it up and get a good picture for you.
Sounds good. I'm excited. I'm so glad you said it, because in my head I'm going, I'm sure it was a quilt, but I don't remember.
It is. It's a star quilt. So
You have it quilted now?
it's quilted. Yeah, it was finished at the end of November. So
Do you have a label on it then?
no, she did not have a label, and so that's why I was going to send it to you, because I do have the
Right.
names printed out, and so
Okay.
I'll get a picture, but then I will stick it in the mail to you.
Even if you email me the names of who made it and who quilted it, I can work on a label without having the quilt.
Perfect. I will do that right after we get off this webinar.
All right, great.
So then my other question is, silent auction again this year?
If you want, sure.
Well, it seems like it's something nice to do that doesn't require a tremendous amount of work on our part.
Yeah, and it does. It brings in a nice little chunk of money, and it's not hard to do. So definitely we can do that.
Maybe I'll have them create a couple email blasts about that too. And we'll just kind of stagger the blasts of different things, so to kind of pump people for Summer Summit.
Yeah.
Okay. John, what do you got going on for the state report?
Hi there.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Here we go. But before I review these updates, I would just note, with there 35 senators and 70 representatives, so 105 individuals. If that news blast, even if we had modest 5% return. You know, in the summer, as the summer studies are done, those incumbents might be looking for a hobby horse or want to follow up with some clarifying questions, and who knows where those questions might take us. So anyway, I'm excited about these discussions moving forward about advocacy and educate and elevate overall. So in terms of the state reports, you know, we had a federal monitor with Octay on the 2017 RFP. That was throughout October and November, and I received the corrective action plan at the very beginning of this year. But I've had to prioritize going back and forth with them for language approval and everything on the grant competition, which I published last Friday, and you or your supervisors should have received that announcement. It's posted on the e-procurement site as well as DLR's homepage. Many of you are aware that we just had public comments and are finalizing the Unified State Plan for the next 2 years of a 4-year cycle. And that's due at the beginning of March. So I made some edits, and, you know, Kim, you would posted about SDALL and some other things. So I fixed some language there. Another topic I've been working on, and some of you who are with the AEL data team probably today received the mail. We had to reschedule because of Shannon's conflicting obligations all of a sudden, our LACES webinar, but we're working and we're making progress on that TABE LACES project to automatically upload TABE scores into LACES. So I'm excited about that. I've talked with some of you about Summer Summit and the forthcoming plans and the date, or venue rather. What else? A couple of high-level surveys, family literacy at the national level, as well as the complement to the survey you're doing at the local level for Octay and the Institute for Education Science, IES, I think. Then again, a reminder, NASDA, that's the National Association of State Directors of Adult Education, is working on a contract, or has a contract with AIR, American Institutes for Research, who developed the NRS, the National Reporting System, for ostensibly what will look like Leadership Excellence Academy Part 2, 2.0. They haven't landed on the branding yet. Right now, they're just loosely calling it Leadership Development Training. I've mentioned it to you before. They're looking at a cohort cost of $40,000. So that would likely mean if we ever do pursue that, we would have to cost share with another state.
Or close a program.
Yeah, right. And then our last item here I have, just as a reminder, I believe I emailed everyone, but Octay's got a project with, what is it, Manhattan Strategy Project, or Manhattan, the same people who bring us STAR, the Advancing Innovation in Education. And I think those applications are due mid-April. Any questions? All right, thank you.
I just want to know how many people have got their RFP like done, started.
I have received one letter of intent.
I
That's
said
fine.
today I was going to get my letter of intent done, but it's not going to happen today.
Perfect.
That's good. So we already got that done. Awesome. Okay, Summer Summit. It is in Sioux Falls.
No.
What?
Awards.
Oh,
You
yeah,
stuck
sorry.
awards in
Thank
there.
you. I put the arrow there, but didn't pay attention. Becky, awards.
Okay. I have the award nomination forms, which are electronic again, ready to send out. We are keeping the same awards that we have always had. Steph did give me some feedback on the Community Partner Award to help bring it a little bit more in line with the COAB nomination, which apparently we have not had problems with in the past couple of years. But just to make it a little bit easier for Stephanie and Laura, have very graciously over the last few years between the two of them been responsible for taking our state award winners and putting their nominations into the COAB National Award nominations for us. So thank you, Steph, for that feedback, and I did incorporate that into that application. We're going to be pushing award nomination forms out next week, Kim? Is that the plan? Okay, next week with a due date of May 1st. That gives everybody 2 months to get their award nominations done. That includes Educator of the Year, Student of the Year, Volunteer of the Year, Community Partner of the Year, and please do not forget about the Hovland. Karen Hofer has been doing work on a project for us locally here, and I mentioned to her last week, I was like, why do we not have some Hovland money for this? This is like a perfect Hovland project. And she said, I don't know. So we need to be better about thinking about some of the things that we need to investigate for our own programs and thinking about what they could mean on a state level and helping to encourage people to apply for that Hovland Development Fund Award as well. All those nominations. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, remember, I have gotten the last 2 pieces of the Hovland grant myself, so to have it be 3 in a row seems rather greedy.
Well,
so somebody else apply.
Yeah. And again, with that due date of May 1st, we're hoping that it gives people some time before the conference comes to think creatively about how they want to deal with award winners. You know, if they want to come to the award ceremony, if they want to do a special award ceremony at their home site and videotape it, if they want to video a special message from the recipient, any of those kinds of things would be appropriate, I think. And I think we're going to talk about that a little bit more actually too. I think Kim wanted to say a few things about that. But yeah, so those nomination forms will be out next week. They'll be on the South Dakota All website. Please think yourself about who you can nominate and encourage everyone at your program sites to think as well about people that they want to nominate.
My topic of discussion related to this was, and please, Stephanie or anyone else, do not think, I don't think that we shouldn't recognize award winners. It's never been my intent. As long as we have, you know, that people, the interest in providing that, I think we should. But Stephanie writes great award applications. She has great people, and she's all the way across the state, and that is not Black Hills' fault because we provide Summer Summit on the far eastern side of the state. But I guess the board needs to know, you know, it was, what was it, over almost $700, Karen? Karen Hofer.
Okay, now I'm on. I have $724.65. Yes.
To bring those 2 award winners across the state to receive that award. I personally would rather see that money going to the programs to recognize those individuals locally and do what they want than to put $700 in gas and hotel costs. And I guess I just want to know what I mean, if the rest of you are like, nope, that is exactly what we want to do, fine, that no problem here. I just really think we need to discuss it.
I think that when you give somebody an award, that there needs to be something impactful that goes with that in terms of, there has to be a reason that they're winning it, and there has to be a very solid foundation for why they're winning it. And so I guess it's not that I don't think that I think that there needs to be a platform for sharing why they won the award and exactly how come it's such an impactful event. But does it mean that they have to come? That's not necessarily big in my book. But I will tell you, for like Great Plains Tribal Chairman's Health Board, or especially for the partner, I think if they can't look out at the group and they can't explain a little bit about their feeling about that, then I don't know what the purpose of the award is.
Do you think it's as important for the volunteer of the year or the student of the year to be in Sioux Falls in front of us? I mean, it isn't that it isn't touching for me. It is. I really do like seeing their faces. But what do you think, Stephanie?
For Rebecca, it was a big deal and it was important to her. But I will just tell you that for some, it became a hardship almost to go, because it is a trip across the state, and
time away from work and family.
It was hard. Yeah. And I don't know, I mean, maybe it's better to video them or to, but I'll just tell you, like, in terms of time and figuring out how to do that, and that is crazy too, and that's going to be an extra bit of work, a fair bit of work to figure all that out as well.
Well, and that's why I talked to Becky about moving awards that up, you know, so that we're taking 2 months before Summer Summit. We'll already know who the award winners are. We thought, well, that will give us a little more cushion than, because frankly, June is not the time for any of us to have to submit nominations or recognize people for awards, because we're all trying to get through the end of the year in our way. So that's why I thought maybe moving it up a couple months, so those award winners will be before that. And maybe it's purely a stipend, or maybe but yeah, I mean, that's another thing, is like, how many people can afford to take a couple days off work in the middle of the week to come receive the award? It's multiple things. I think we need to and I guess I don't know. Anybody else have thoughts?
This is Laura, and my thought is I really appreciate the mirroring effect with the national level COABE awards. I think it's a good to have some parallelism in what we're doing at the state level. So I appreciate the effort to change the nomination form to be more in alignment with the COABE one, because Steph and I were back and forth trying to gather the pieces and make things fit into the COABE application, because ours was not really aligned with what they have at the national level. Also at the national level, fantastic that they get a cash award plus travel expenses. I think it is nice that we're able to offer the option of face-to-face or video, and I think it is probably okay for programs to directly have that conversation with those that are award winners. And if that person feels like, oh, it's too much of a loss of time, I really appreciate it, I'll accept this award, but I prefer to do video because it's more convenient for me. And if there are individuals who are winning that award that feel like it is an extra perk to come and to be face-to-face, can we maintain that option of doing it either way, and letting the person who wins the award have input to what that looks like for them? If we can continue to support travel, if that is their option, and recognize them accordingly. It's nice.
They also get a stipend from us now too, thanks to the
It's West River Foundation.
Yes, West River Foundation, yeah.
2 more years at least.
You know, and what's our obligation as an association? You know, there again, would the partner of the year benefit more from having 105 legislator influence peddlers see that announcement versus, one individual coming for 10 minutes and speaking to a partial group of adult educators over lemon custard? And the impact that these speeches have had on me. The gamut being, on one end, like that young gentleman and his mother who were homeless living in the car. And I don't know if you remember him. Renee, I think, nominated him as Student of the Year. He was just, homeschool and brilliant and humble. It just brought me to tears. Versus when Royce's Volunteer of the Year got up last year and kind of just off the cuff, hey, thanks, man. It was slightly anticlimactic. So I don't want to put anyone on the spot. I don't want to burden anyone feeling that they are obligated to take 2 days out of their, to come and speak for 45 seconds. So I don't really have anything conclusive. Just wanted to share my opinion on the matter.
Well, and I also wondered about, like offering programs the opportunity, like a stipend if they wanted to host an event. So if we gave that program a couple $100 to host an event to make it a big deal for an individual too, as an option, as one of the options.
That's actually very interesting. I just have not even thought of that. And so I guess I have to wrap my brain around what that looks like. But you just want it to be impactful for both the winner and for the association. I mean, moving forward, I feel like it's a great way to gain momentum and a great way to gather those success stories in a meaningful way. And so you want to be able to use those stories in the right way to gain a little ground.
Yeah. This is something that we don't have to make a decision today. I think, we've had a lot of really good discussion and put some thought into it. And I think kind of like the budget, it's something that we do need to make a decision on before we hit Summer Summit. But, it's not something that I think we need to vote on today, certainly. One of the reasons I like video, I mean, as we're sitting and having this discussion, one of the reasons I like videotaping is because we could capture some of those speeches. John, I do remember that young man, and he was so inspiring. Wouldn't it be great if we had his speech on video that could be a leader on our website for anybody who wonders about adult education in South Dakota, and they could see a video of someone whose life has been so impacted by the help that he got from one of our Title II programs. So I think, even if we do bring those people into our conference, we need to do a better job of capturing some of those moments that we can then use again in our education and marketing, for lack of a better term.
I like that point. I'd also like to add, if there was that stipend possibility to have a feature at the student site, that time-wise, I mean, that could give someone all summer long to coordinate that with the local station. But and Steph, not to put you in the hot seat, but I mean, how impactful was that video that Black Hills TV shot of Cecilia, right? I mean, how many hundreds, if not thousands of people saw that feature of her in the Career Learning Center of the Black Hills?
Yeah, and then News Center One did some pieces around our Partner of the Year last year, and I anticipate they'll probably do some very shortly here with Great Plains. And yeah, it's a big deal because it really helps with partnerships and collaboration all the way around.
I think that, Laura mentioned we want to mirror what COAB does. I have felt like their awards have gotten short shrift at the national conference for the last couple of years. I mean, it's kind of like they say their name and they just parade across the stage and they don't even really get to stop so you see them. It's been a very fast process there. Our people get a lot more specialized treatment when they come to our conference, I guess. So I think we do a good job there when we do bring people in as well.
So in the interest of time, I think we'll move on to the next thing, which is Summer Summit. Jennifer was able to work with me, and we're going to host Summer Summit at Southeast Technical Institute this year to try something a little bit different as far as that's concerned, and there'll be more information coming out about that. But in relationship to all of our other discussion here and advocacy and everything else, we are on one of the day, Tuesday, the 7th, July 7th, is going to be Employer Partner Day. So Tracy Palachek is going to be doing some training on, boy, that just flew out of my head. The only word staying in there is trauma.
Trauma-informed practices.
Trauma-informed practices
on trauma
for the workplace.
And there'll be a general session, and then she's going to do some specific breakout sessions that hopefully can work with employers or partners on how that impacts how they work with individuals. And then on day 2, she's going to focus more on us as practitioners and dealing with it, dealing with our students, but also how we deal with dealing with it. So I think it'll be really good that way. But one of the questions for the South Dakota All Board is, because we are having it at Southeast Tech, snacks are super affordable. I think Jennifer she said like $50 or $60, right?
Yep.
So even if we double it, it's hardly anything as far as cost compared to what we've paid in the past for a break. So I was still going to try and find vendor sponsorship for breaks, but one of the things I'm wondering is Jennifer's able to get the meal costs, all the food costs down considerably, and we'll host all the events at Southeast Tech. That yes, we'll try and find sponsorship, but if we can't, does South Dakota All want to just assume responsibility, and we would have sponsored breaks then for Summer Summit?
Sounds good. It sounds very affordable. Thanks to both of you.
And I think it's just a nice way to let people get a break and feel like they've gotten something and still hang around tight and stick where they're supposed to be. So I think it's a good plan.
And the nice thing is their cafeteria is also open, or their food is open. So you don't necessarily have to leave the campus during dinner or during your lunch break either.
Well, is there any chance SDALL can get a cotton candy and popcorn machine for the venue? Or is that frivolous?
We can ask.
I'm sorry. I needed a little levity, but I'm anticipating that at least Aztec will want to support a break, and GED.
I still think we probably will be able to get all the breaks sponsored, but I just wanted to commit to Southeast Tech ahead so they can plan accordingly. That yes, we will have sponsored breaks, but yeah, I don't predict. I predict we'll be able to have sponsored breaks that they'll be able to cover them.
And then two, I wanted to add your ideas with the partner day on Tuesday the 7th. Tentatively, we're hoping that we can evidence, 20 DLR staff on that day from here, or Mitchell and Sioux Falls and Brookings perhaps.
Yankton.
So I'm really excited about it. Yankton, yeah.
And so I will actually get an invitation. You'll get some information, so the local programs can invite some partners too if they want, especially when they're closer and they might be able to take advantage of it. Obviously, Rapid City already has Tracy, so they already have access to that out there, which is good because then they already have the access and we're not excluding it as an opportunity there. But yeah, there'll be a lot of stuff going on. And if anybody has suggestions of things they'd like to see different or things added to Summer Summit, this is the time that Laura and I would really like to hear them.
I was just going to say that I got to see a little bit of the piloted training on the 8th, I believe it was, and it was so good, so good. So I'm excited for that. And I think that there'll be a picture in the Bush Community Foundation magazine that will have a picture of that piloted training and a little information too.
Good. Maybe
So,
something we can use for marketing.
oh yeah, that's just what, yeah.
So yeah, Stephanie, if you get a hold of that, would you let us know?
I just saw like a little preview this morning, but I'm anticipating it will probably be out where I can share it maybe next week or the following.
Yeah. Perfect. Registration stuff will go out in the next week or two. Hoping to announce another, at least one more credential available, and maybe even offer some training towards that credential at Summer Summit. It's my hope and plan.
Around digital literacy, correct?
Yes. No, yours, John. I want you to do yours. Right?
That's right. The data quality credential is, yeah, hopefully we can at least announce it.
So if anyone thinks of ideas, things like, oh, maybe we should do this, or have you thought about doing that, or something like that, to send us an email or let us know, because this is the time that it's easiest to integrate that in. We are going to have like a STAR refresher activity. Going to have maybe an ANI. We haven't quite decided, roundtable, something kind of numeracy related to keep those initiatives fresh in people's minds. So we're going to do something with both of those. The STAR one, we did that at our staff training in January. It was very well received, and especially among the teachers who hadn't been through STAR. It was really great for them to say, oh, that's why we're doing that, so it's really good.
That's cool. Would you remind me, if we do something for numeracy, would that be Karen?
Most likely Karen, and we also kind of bounced around the idea of maybe even seeing if we could bring Brooke in electronically, something like that. There's some options there that we're looking at.
I like that. I saw she must have won a COAB National Award too.
She won for
wasn't it development?
Professional, yeah, so she can work on her professional studies. It was like a scholarship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I emailed her, and what she's going to do is research on people who are nervous test takers to try to, figure out what we can do for them. So I said, oh, let me know. I'll send you lots of data.
Is that part of her PhD dissertation or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So, but how exciting if we could actually learn something that would help those students. I mean, I've got one lady whose palms are wringing wet, and she makes herself an absolute nervous wreck, and then she doesn't pass the test. So what do you do for those people?
There's even some bits and pieces on trauma-informed practice for people who the test-taking trauma is huge. So I'll send you some links.
I am so looking forward to that presentation. Those presentations at Summer Summit stuff. I think it's going to be great.
Well, and would we like to hear from Brooke about her project? Would there be? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we need to discuss some things with Brooke. Definitely decide what we want to do there. But yeah, so we're going to try and bring some of that stuff forward. Anybody got questions, ideas, concerns? I'm going to shut up.
I have one question. As someone living in Sioux Falls now for a few years again, are we doing well enough to provide out-of-towners with information about the community?
haven't done the magazine the last couple of years. I haven't got anything from the chamber. Do you want me to do that? Or would you like to do that? You're closer.
Do you think it needs to be done?
I think we should. I really do.
Okay.
Because there's so many other things going on that, yes, I think that's, and maybe,
If you want to give me a list of things to do for that, yeah,
well, even just going down to the Chamber of Commerce and saying, hey, we're hosting a meeting here this time. We'd like some stuff that really promote, I'd like some stuff to really promote Sioux Falls and what people need to do to get, yeah.
okay, thank you.
Even if we have a link ahead of time, we could do that as part of the pumping up thing too. It's like, hey, check out this link of things that are going on in Sioux Falls while you're there. It's a destination city in South Dakota.
All right, well, I'll reach out to you and Jennifer and Laura and others in the forthcoming weeks then for some assistance with that. And
Thank you.
all right, no, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, we've kind of hit advocacy up unless somebody wants to talk more about it. I think we at least got some places to start.
No, I think we have some good ideas there to work from.
Okay.
Did
Anybody?
you want to talk about the ESL strand at all, Kim?
Oh, yes, I do. Yeah, I do. I would love to know what's going on.
Well, a suggestion that you had shared with me certainly was trauma as it relates to work with refugee and immigrant populations. So that's something that LSS is looking to design and share, if not 1, 2 potential sessions, but we could cover quite a bit even in one session with that. We do have Diana, of course, who has volunteered as a recipient of a South Dakota All Scholarship to present in the ESL track. And there are some people that are preparing action research for the Action Research Forum, people who have participated in the ELIDP. And I actually happen to have one staff that fell through the cracks as she moved from a substitute teacher to a full-time teacher. So she is another person who will want to be added to the ELIDP presentation roster, action research presentation list, that is. We also have, I had an opportunity to scope out some offerings with the Language and Literacy Institute in Minnesota. And if just for future reference, if South Dakota All would like to help support in the future people attending conferences for ESL, that one is $45 for registration.
Wow.
It is really probably one of the cheapest ESL conferences I've ever been to and one of the highest quality ones. Their sessions are about 3 to 4 hours long, so they offer deep dives into topics that are 100% devoted to adult ESL instruction. So there I did identify a few topics and potential presenters that might be helpful for our teachers across our state in the area of English language instruction. And one of them actually might be flexible with multiple types of students with ABE as well, and that was the rigorous question type practice for people preparing for the TABE or CASAS. So even though we are not a CASAS state, and that is more of a print-based test, the focus was very readily and frequently applicable to the TABE test. So that's one that I found was really interesting as we prepare people for transitional level. I think the TABE is challenging. So the practice that these teachers have designed for explicit instruction with answering tricky questions was really helpful, and they did a really great job with that presentation. So I visited with them. I haven't confirmed them yet, but that's one of the options, as well as a really great session on grammar. So some areas that I've received feedback lately that teachers are interested in some support with are grammar, listening instruction, vocabulary instruction, as well as I know the all ever necessary multi-level instruction topic. We also met some presenters that focused on numeracy, digital literacy, and writing. And we are definitely finding students at the transitional level that struggle with good writing skills in regular ESL classrooms, but also in preparation for those pre-GED classes. So there's really a wide range of options. If people have suggestions of, hey, we really need this for our ESL teachers, feel free to let Kim or me know. Please lean in this way because we have a lot of great resources, and those are all fairly local presenters out of Minnesota, and we'll be able to include a couple of those topics in the ESL strand. In addition to the trauma and the action research and the Diana presenting on TESOL.
There's going to be a lot of opportunities for instructors and people everyone at this conference. I think it's coming together very well. Exciting.
Right, and the trauma is obviously, that's going to be useful for all of our instructors, regardless of their area of expertise.
Yes. Then
Thanks.
there'll be a general session on Tuesday and a general session on Wednesday, both. So, great. Anything else to bring before the group? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
This is Jennifer. I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second. Steph.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. I don't think anybody wants to discuss this, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you guys, and we'll get you some information soon. Maybe we'll have another meeting in the next 6 weeks or so. All right, thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.